When a man allows his actions to be guided by desire, he becomes a servant to his moods, his impulses, and his weaknesses. But when his life is ruled by discipline, he becomes master of himself. There were mornings when the body longed for rest, when the air was cold and the ground was hard, when every instinct whispered to remain still. Yet I rose not because I felt inspired, but because duty demanded movement. Discipline means acting regardless of feeling. It means stepping forward when the mind hesitates, training when the spirit grows tired, and continuing when comfort pulls you backward. The path of strength does not wait for motivation, it is walked through commitment. Modern life trains men to surrender to emotion. They say, "Today I do not feel like working, I do not feel like training, I do not feel like facing my challenges," and so they retreat. Each retreat weakens the will, each excuse becomes a chain. Over time, the man who avoids effort becomes a prisoner of his impulses. He waits for the perfect moment, the perfect energy, the perfect mood, and while he waits, his potential decays. A warrior does not ask how he feels before acting. He asks what must be done, and he does it. The heart may resist, but the will commands. Discipline is not loud. It does not seek praise, applause, or recognition. It lives in small, unseen choices, waking when others sleep, training when others rest, studying when others indulge, enduring when others quit. These moments carve the spirit into something firm and reliable. When you move according to feeling, you are unstable. When you move according to discipline, you become unshakable. The man of discipline acts because he has chosen his path, not because the moment feels pleasant. There were times when obstacles rose before me like mountains, when fatigue tightened itself around my body, when doubt whispered quietly in my mind. In those moments, I did not wait for courage to appear, I created it through action. The blade is not sharpened through softness, and the mind is not strengthened through ease. Every step taken in resistance to weakness strengthens the spirit. Every time you refuse to obey laziness, you train the mind to become your servant instead of your master. Desire seeks comfort, discipline seeks purpose. Those ruled by desire chase pleasure, recognition, distraction, and comfort, yet they remain empty. The disciplined man denies himself what weakens him, not because he hates pleasure but because he values strength more. He understands that every indulgence has a cost and every moment of weakness leaves a scar upon the will, so he chooses restraint, he chooses order, he chooses endurance. Through this, his inner world becomes firm and steady while others drift with every emotional tide. There were seasons when solitude was my only companion, when silence surrounded me, when the world offered nothing but uncertainty. Yet even then I trained, reflected, and worked upon myself. Discipline gives direction when life provides none. It is the anchor in chaos, the structure that holds when circumstances collapse. A man without discipline is carried by life like a leaf in the wind. A disciplined man stands like a mountain, unmoved by the storm. To act only when motivated is to remain ordinary. To act even without desire is to transcend limitation. The body complains, the mind protests, yet the will continues. This is the essence of strength, obedience to purpose rather than obedience to feeling. Feelings are temporary, but commitment endures. When you live according to discipline, you remove the power of excuses. No obstacle becomes an escape, no weakness becomes justification. You move simply because you have chosen to. Discipline is not cruelty toward the self, it is respect for who you have the potential to become. The man who spares himself struggle also denies himself greatness. The one who avoids difficulty chooses a quiet decay of spirit, while the one who embraces effort sharpens himself into something capable, decisive, and strong. Pain becomes training, resistance becomes fuel, and hardship becomes a forge through which the warrior reshapes his life. With time, discipline becomes nature. The habits once forced through effort transform into instinct. Action replaces hesitation. Focus replaces distraction. Purpose replaces confusion. At that point, the man no longer battles himself each day because he has already defeated the weakness within him. He does not rise early because he must, he rises because he cannot imagine doing otherwise. Discipline becomes freedom. And so, by choosing duty over desire, commitment over comfort, and action over emotion, the spirit becomes unbreakable, and the man becomes one who no longer waits for motivation, because his life itself has become an expression of discipline. Discipline is not built in the moments when life feels easy or when the path ahead looks clear. Discipline is forged in the quiet battles no one else can see, in the choices made before the sun rises and after the world has gone to sleep. Many men today wait for motivation, they wait for the right mood, the right environment, the right opportunity. But the path of strength does not wait. The path demands movement even when the mind resists and the body seeks comfort. When I trained, I did not ask whether I felt ready. I did not ask whether the conditions were perfect. I simply acted because hesitation is the beginning of weakness, and weakness is the door through which regret enters a man's life. There is a difference between wanting strength and living with the discipline required to earn it. Wanting is loud, emotional, temporary. Discipline is silent, steady, and permanent. Many will talk about goals, dreams, ambitions, yet very few will endure the boredom, the repetition, the grind of sharpening themselves day after day. The blade does not become sharp after a single strike against the stone. It becomes sharp after countless strokes, after patience, after persistence, after accepting the friction that others avoid. The same is true for the mind. It hardens through repetition, through consistency, through the refusal to break when comfort calls. When I say discipline, I do not mean cruelty to oneself without purpose. I mean alignment with a greater mission, a commitment to something beyond temporary pleasure. The man without discipline becomes a servant to his impulses. He eats when he wants, rests when he wants, quits when he feels discomfort, and then wonders why his life lacks strength, control, and direction. The disciplined man may feel the same impulses, but he does not bow to them. He acknowledges them, observes them, and then chooses action that aligns with his purpose. This is the difference between living with intention and drifting without meaning. There were days when my body ached, when exhaustion filled my bones, when fear whispered to retreat. But those were the days that mattered most. Anyone can move forward when the wind is at their back. The true test comes when the wind resists you, when the world feels heavy, when every step feels like a struggle. Those are the moments that separate ordinary men from the ones who carve their names into history. To stop in those moments is to betray your own potential. To continue is to claim ownership of your life. Modern men speak about discipline as if it is a concept to admire, a philosophy to think about rather than a practice to live. They consume knowledge but rarely transform it into action. They read about warriors, builders, thinkers, legends, yet live with habits that weaken the spirit. Knowledge without discipline is weight without structure. It burdens the mind instead of strengthening it. To truly understand a principle, you must live it, repeat it, embody it until it becomes part of your nature. Discipline also means confronting the truth about oneself. It is easy to project confidence, to speak as if one is strong, but the real question is this: when you are alone, when no one is watching, when there is no praise, no audience, no reward, do you still do what must be done? The answer to that question reveals the strength of your character. Many live for recognition, but discipline lives in silence. It does not need attention. It does not seek approval. It simply exists, unshaken, unwavering. There were times when I trained not because I expected an opponent to appear, but because I understood that the greatest opponent lives within. Laziness, self-doubt, fear, distraction, these are the enemies that defeat most men long before they meet challenges in the external world. If you cannot defeat what is inside you, you will never stand firm against what stands before you. Discipline is the act of choosing victory over yourself every single day, even in the smallest decisions. You must understand this: discipline is not about intensity for a short moment. It is about consistency over a lifetime. Many men burn with passion for a brief period, then fade when the fire of excitement disappears. The disciplined man does not rely on fire, he builds a furnace. He creates a system of habits so strong that even when emotion disappears, action continues. That is how legacies are built, not through bursts of effort but through unwavering commitment. Pain will come, fatigue will come, doubt will come. Discipline is not the absence of these things, it is the refusal to surrender to them. When a man walks away from his responsibilities because they feel heavy, he does not escape the burden, he only transfers it into his future. The price of discipline is paid now. The price of regret is paid for the rest of your life. You must choose which pain to live with. There will be moments when the path feels lonely, when others cannot understand why you push yourself so relentlessly. Do not seek understanding from those who have not chosen your path. A warrior does not measure his discipline by the standards of the undisciplined. He measures it by the quiet oath he makes to himself, to rise, to work, to fight, to grow, no matter the challenges that stand before him. And so I tell you this with absolute clarity: discipline is the gateway through which strength, mastery, and freedom are earned. Without it, nothing meaningful can be achieved. With it, even an ordinary man can become extraordinary. Stand firm, choose the harder path, and do not betray the potential that lives within you. Strength of mind is not created in moments of victory, but in moments of confrontation with truth, the truth about who you are, what you fear, and what you avoid. Many men live their lives running from this truth, hiding behind distractions, excuses, and noise. They fear silence because in silence they are forced to face themselves. But the warrior does not run from silence, he walks into it. He studies his thoughts, he observes his weaknesses, he acknowledges the parts of himself that are unrefined and undisciplined. This is not self-criticism, it is self-awareness, and without awareness, no man can grow into his highest form. There were many times when I sat alone, not training, not fighting, not moving, only watching my own mind. I did this because I understood that conflict first begins within. If there is disorder inside, there will be disorder in action. The undisciplined mind seeks comfort, avoidable pleasure, distraction, escape. It looks outward to escape inward struggle. But the disciplined mind does the opposite, it looks inward to master the outward world. To walk the warrior's path is to confront your internal chaos until it becomes order. Most men fear struggle because they misunderstand it. They see struggle as suffering, they see hardship as injustice, but struggle is the sculptor of character. Just as the blade is shaped by fire and pressure, the mind is shaped by adversity. When life presses against you, when people doubt you, when obstacles block your path, these are not curses. They are trials designed to reveal your strength. The man who avoids struggles remains fragile. The man who faces them becomes unbreakable. There were days when hunger gripped me, when exhaustion weighed down my body, when uncertainty clouded the future. But I did not curse those conditions. I thanked them, because through them I learned endurance. Through them I learned to separate my identity from my circumstances. Through them I learned that a strong spirit does not depend on comfort or security. True strength exists even in isolation, even in difficulty, even in darkness. Many men today believe strength is about dominance, about appearing powerful in the eyes of others. But strength is not spectacle. Strength is invisible discipline, the ability to remain calm under pressure, to control emotion when emotion seeks control, to act with clarity when fear clouds judgment. A man who reacts impulsively is controlled by his environment. A man who remains steady commands his fate. The world will test you not through physical battle alone, but through frustration, through temptation, through uncertainty, through loss. In those moments, strength is measured not by force but by composure. A warrior does not chase validation or recognition. He does not require applause to continue his path. If no one praises his discipline, he still trains. If no one sees his progress, he still advances. Because his purpose is not to be seen, his purpose is to become. Many men collapse when support disappears because their motivation was borrowed from others, not forged within themselves. The man who builds his strength from within will not bend when the world withdraws its approval. There is another truth about strength that many overlook. Strength demands sacrifice. To become disciplined, to sharpen the mind, to live with purpose, you must let go of things that weaken you. Comfort, distraction, idle pleasure, meaningless attachment, these chains prevent a man from rising. When I walked my path, I released everything that did not serve my mission. Solitude was not loneliness, it was refinement. Silence was not emptiness, it was preparation. Sacrifice does not remove life from a man, it purifies him. Understand this clearly: no one becomes strong accidentally. Strength is the result of daily decisions, small, repetitive, unwavering decisions. The decision to rise when you wish to sleep. The decision to work when you wish to rest. The decision to stay focused when your mind seeks escape. These choices seem small, but accumulated over time they separate the discipline from the ordinary. Every day, life presents two paths: the path of comfort and the path of growth. The majority choose comfort and wonder why they remain weak. The few choose growth and rise above the rest. A strong mind is not one that never feels doubt. Doubt will appear, fear will appear, uncertainty will appear. They are natural companions on the path. Strength is not the absence of these emotions. Strength is the refusal to submit to them. When doubt whispers, stop, strength replies, continue. When fear says, retreat, strength answers, advance. The man who waits to act until he feels confident will never act. Confidence is earned through movement, through resilience, through endurance of discomfort. There will be moments when you question your progress, when results seem distant, when effort feels unseen. In those moments, many give up, but the disciplined mind does not demand immediate reward. It understands that transformation takes time, that mastery is gradual, that greatness is carved through patience. The seed cannot see the tree it will become, yet it still pushes through the soil. So must you. If you wish to build strength, you must live with intention. Every action, every habit, every choice must align with your purpose. Ask yourself constantly: does this behavior weaken me or strengthen me? Does this path lead toward mastery or away from it? The man who lives without questions drifts. The man who questions himself evolves. Strength is the consequence of alignment, alignment between thought, action, and purpose. And so I say this to you: do not chase strength as an image or a title. Become strength through discipline, through awareness, through relentless confrontation with your own limitations. Do not fear struggle, for struggle is the forge in which the unbreakable spirit is made. Stand firm, endure hardship, and rise above the weakness that once controlled you, because the world belongs to the man who conquers himself. There comes a time on every path when the world grows quiet, and only your inner voice remains. In that silence, most men begin to doubt themselves. They question their direction, their purpose, their strength. They look for reassurance from others, from results, from recognition, but the warrior understands that certainty does not come from outside. It is built from within through unwavering commitment to the path, even when no one is watching, even when progress seems invisible, even when the journey feels endless. The path is not meant to comfort you, it is meant to sharpen you. Many seek shortcuts, hopping to reach mastery without sacrifice. They want strength without struggle, discipline without restraint, victory without endurance. But the warrior knows that every skill, every insight, every layer of inner power is earned through repetition, patience, and persistence. Day after day, step after step, effort after effort, this is how the mind is forged, not in the noise of applause but in the quiet persistence of unseen work. The path tests those who walk it. It asks, will you continue when progress is slow? Will you continue when no one believes? Will you continue when everything in you seeks comfort? Only a few can answer yes. There were moments when the road stretched long before me, when there was no promise of reward, when uncertainty surrounded every step. Yet I remained on the path because I did not walk for admiration or status. I walked for mastery, I walked to conquer myself. When you choose the path of discipline, you are not choosing an easy life but a meaningful one. The majority drift through life reacting to circumstance, but the warrior moves with intention, guided by purpose, accepting that discomfort is the price of transformation. Understand this: commitment is not a feeling. It is not something you rely upon only when you feel motivated or inspired. Commitment is a decision that does not change with mood, weather, or circumstance. The weak mind negotiates with itself, constantly searching for escape, constantly delaying, constantly compromising. The disciplined mind does not negotiate, it acts, it honors its word, it does what must be done regardless of preference. This is what separates those who merely desire strength from those who embody it. There will be times when others abandon you, when support disappears, when expectations are placed upon you that seem heavy to carry. But the warrior does not collapse under pressure, he becomes stronger because of it. Responsibility is not a burden to him, it is a refining force. To carry weight is to build endurance. To face struggle is to build resilience. The path demands that you stand alone at times, not to weaken you, but to reveal to you how capable you truly are. Most men quit not because the path is impossible, but because they expect comfort along the way. They want progress to feel pleasant. They want growth to come with ease. But discipline is born in friction, in those moments when the body wishes to rest and the spirit commands movement, when the mind seeks distraction and the will demands focus. These moments determine who you become. Each time you endure, each time you push forward when retreat feels easier, you strengthen the foundation of your character. You must understand that mastery is not an event, it is a lifetime. The path does not end with one achievement, one victory, one success. The path continues beyond them. The warrior does not allow himself to become complacent. He does not rest upon past accomplishments. He remains a student, alert, humble, aware that there is always more to refine, more to learn, more to conquer within himself. The moment a man believes he has arrived, he begins to decline. Growth demands vigilance. There is also discipline and restraint, in knowing when not to act, when not to speak, when not to react emotionally. Many believe strength is shown through force, through aggression, through outward power. But true strength is control, control of thought, control of impulse, control of desire. The undisciplined man is ruled by emotion. The disciplined man rules emotion. This inner control gives clarity in chaos, precision in conflict, and direction in uncertainty. Along the path, you will encounter temptation, comfort disguised as reward, distraction disguised as opportunity, pride disguised as confidence. These are the quiet enemies of discipline. The warrior does not chase pleasure at the cost of purpose. He does not allow ego to lead him astray. He remains grounded in simplicity and focus. He understands that excess weakens the spirit while restraint sharpens it. There is a deeper truth: the path is not something you walk only when convenient. It must live in your habits, your thoughts, your choices, your actions. It shapes how you train, how you work, how you respond to challenge, how you face uncertainty. Discipline is not a moment of effort, it is a way of being. And when it becomes part of your nature, the world can no longer bend you, because your strength does not depend on external conditions. It comes from your core. And so, if you choose this path, understand what it requires. It asks for patience when results are unseen. It asks for endurance when progress feels slow. It asks for faith in yourself when doubt surrounds you. It asks for sacrifice, resilience, and unshakable commitment. But in return, it gives you something greater than comfort. It gives you power over your own mind, mastery over your own life, and the unbreakable spirit that only the disciplined can possess. Walk the path without hesitation, without retreat, and without compromising your purpose, because the man who refuses to abandon his discipline becomes the one who cannot be defeated. When a man walks the path of discipline and struggle long enough, he eventually reaches a moment where he realizes that his greatest opponent has never been another warrior, another man, or another obstacle. His true opponent has always been the self that seeks comfort, hesitation, fear, and doubt. The battlefield is not only the world outside, it is the mind within, and if a man cannot conquer himself, he will be defeated everywhere else. This understanding is what separates those who remain ordinary from those who rise into unshakable strength. The warrior does not fight only to overcome others, he fights to transform the weak parts of his own nature. There were many times when I faced opponents whose blades were sharp, whose skills were refined, whose confidence seemed immovable. Yet they were already defeated before the duel even began, because fear controlled their thoughts, doubt clouded their spirit, and hesitation weakened their resolve. They believed their strength lived in their sword, but true strength does not rest in the weapon, it rests in the mind that guides it. A sword in the hand of a man who has not conquered himself is nothing more than a fragile tool. But the simplest weapon in the hands of a disciplined mind becomes unstoppable. To master yourself is to confront the parts of you that resist growth. It means acknowledging your weakness without excuses, recognizing your fears without retreating from them, and facing your flaws without hiding behind pride. Most men protect their weakness instead of challenging it. They avoid discomfort because it exposes truth. They run from silence because it reveals their lack of purpose. They surround themselves with distraction because they fear confronting who they truly are. But the warrior does the opposite. He walks directly toward what he fears, because he understands that beyond fear lies power. Self-mastery requires honesty. Not the kind of honesty spoken aloud, but the deep honesty within your own thoughts, the willingness to admit when you are undisciplined, when you are lazy, when you are drifting away from your purpose. It is easy to lie to others, but many men also lie to themselves, convincing their minds that their weakness is acceptable, that their lack of effort is justified, that their hesitation is rational. The warrior refuses to accept lies within his own spirit. He stands face to face with his flaws and says, "You will not rule me." There were nights when exhaustion weighed on my body, when doubt whispered quietly, when the temptation to rest, to delay, to soften my effort presented itself. In those moments there was no audience, no recognition, no reward waiting. There was only a choice: rise above the weakness within or surrender to it. Self-mastery is built in those invisible battles. No one sees them, no one praises them, but every victory over the self becomes a brick in the foundation of unbreakable strength. And each time you choose discipline over comfort, your spirit grows sharper, your resolve becomes stronger, and your path becomes clearer. To master yourself is also to control your emotions. Anger, fear, pride, doubt, these are forces that consume men who do not govern their minds. Many warriors are defeated not by the strength of another, but by anger that blinds their judgment, fear that paralyzes their action, or pride that clouds their awareness. Emotion is like fire: uncontrolled it destroys, controlled it fuels power. The warrior does not extinguish emotion, he channels it, directs it, shapes it into discipline and focus. He remains calm in conflict not because he feels nothing, but because he refuses to be ruled by feeling. There will always be chaos in life: loss, challenge, uncertainty, hardship. The undisciplined man collapses under chaos because he has never learned to govern himself. But the warrior stands firm even when the world trembles, because his stability does not depend on external conditions. It comes from within. When a man masters himself, the storms around him lose their power. He moves with clarity where others panic. He advances with purpose where others hesitate. He remains grounded where others break. Self-mastery also requires detachment from ego. Many men seek victory only to feed pride, to prove superiority, to feel above others. But ego creates blindness. It makes a man complacent. It closes his mind to learning. The warrior remains a student until his last breath. He recognizes that every experience carries wisdom, every failure carries lesson, every challenge carries refinement. He does not cling to reputation or illusion. He values truth over image, growth over validation, mastery over recognition. Those who lack self-control attempt to control others. Those who cannot master their own mind attempt to dominate their surroundings. But the warrior understands that true power is inward. When you discipline your thoughts, your actions follow. When you govern your desires, your direction becomes clear. When you refine your mind, the world no longer bends your spirit. The man who masters himself becomes independent of circumstance. He no longer needs approval, comfort, or certainty to remain strong. His foundation is internal and therefore unshakable. On this path you will face moments where the weaker version of yourself calls you back to ease, to distraction, to regretful habits. It will whisper that you have done enough, that you deserve rest, that discipline can wait another day. But the warrior does not negotiate with weakness. He does not reason with doubt. He does not feed hesitation. He chooses action. He chooses endurance. He chooses to rise again and again until his spirit becomes stronger than any excuse his mind can create. Self-mastery is not achieved in a single moment, nor is it ever complete. It is a lifelong practice. Each day offers new tests, new temptations, new challenges to overcome within yourself. The path continues for as long as you walk it. But with every step, every disciplined choice, every victory over the self, you transform your life into something greater than comfort, greater than fear, greater than limitation. You become a weapon refined by intention, a spirit strengthened through struggle, a mind that cannot be conquered. When you learn to master yourself, you no longer live as a prisoner to your impulses, your fears, or your weaknesses. You rise above them, and in doing so you become truly powerful. In the journey of discipline and self-mastery, a man must develop the courage to look directly into the parts of himself that he would rather avoid. Most men spend their lives running from their weaknesses, hiding from their flaws, and covering their insecurities with excuses, distractions, and false confidence. They protect their weakness instead of confronting it, and because of this, they never grow beyond it. The warrior walks a different path. He chooses ruthless honesty with himself, because only by exposing weakness can it be destroyed, and only by destroying weakness can true strength be built. There were times in my life when I realized that the enemy I faced in battle was not standing before me, but living within me: hesitation, doubt, anger, pride, laziness, fear of loss, fear of failure. Each of these is a shadow inside the spirit. Many men pretend those shadows do not exist. They distract themselves with noise, they surround themselves with comfort, they speak loudly to hide inner silence. But the warrior enters that silence willingly. He descends into his own depths not to escape, but to observe clearly what must be changed. To live with ruthless self-honesty means accepting that you are not yet who you could be. It means admitting when your discipline is weak, when your habits betray your purpose, when your desires pull you away from your path. This honesty is painful, and that is why most avoid it. The weak man prefers false reassurance over uncomfortable truth. The warrior rejects comfort that weakens. He would rather face a truth that wounds his pride than live inside a lie that corrodes his soul. Many people blame circumstances, society, or others for the condition of their lives. They say they had no opportunity, no guidance, no support, and because they believe this story, they give away their power. The warrior never allows himself that escape. Even when fate is harsh, even when conditions are difficult, he looks within and asks where his own weakness allowed defeat. This is not self-punishment, it is self-ownership. When you claim responsibility, you claim power. When you admit your weakness, you gain the ability to change it. Ruthless self-honesty does not mean judging yourself with cruelty, it means observing yourself with clarity. It is the discipline of measuring your actions against your purpose. If your words say one thing but your actions reveal another, the warrior refuses to ignore that gap. He examines it. He asks why he hesitated, why he avoided effort, why he surrendered to distraction. And when he finds the answer, he does not justify it, he corrects it. This path demands silence. In silence, the mind reveals truth. When there is no noise, no distraction, no external voice, a man is left alone with what he truly is. Many cannot endure that. They fill their lives with constant stimulation so they never have to sit with themselves. But the warrior seeks solitude because solitude exposes reality. In solitude, you discover whether your spirit is disciplined or restless, strong or fragile, focused or scattered. When you sit with yourself long enough, lies dissolve and only truth remains. There were moments when I questioned my own strength, when I asked whether my resolve was genuine or only appearance. To answer that question, I returned to simplicity: training, discipline, repetition, endurance. Weakness cannot hide inside effort. The body reveals the truth the mind tries to conceal. When the muscles shake, when breath grows heavy, when the spirit is tested, the truth of who you are is revealed. The warrior does not fear this revelation, he welcomes it. For in these moments, he sees clearly what must be strengthened next. Ruthless honesty also means cutting away illusions created by ego. Pride tells a man he is already strong, already disciplined, already exceptional, and because he believes this, he stops growing. Ego is the enemy of mastery. The warrior remains humble not because he sees himself as small, but because he desires to become greater. Humility allows improvement. Pride traps a man inside his current limits. When you accept that you are still unfinished, you open the door to transformation. Weakness does not disappear simply because you deny it. It grows in silence, it spreads in avoidance, and eventually it defeats you when you least expect it. The warrior confronts weakness early. He does not wait for failure to reveal the consequence. He inspects his own thoughts, his habits, his intentions. Where he finds softness, he applies pressure. Where he finds hesitation, he applies discipline. Where he finds fear, he applies courage through action. Transformation is not achieved through comfort. It is forged through deliberate confrontation with the inner self. This mindset requires discipline over emotion. The undisciplined man reacts to his feelings. If he feels tired, he stops. If he feels discouraged, he retreats. If he feels uncertain, he hesitates. The warrior acts based on principle, not emotion. He may feel tired, but he continues. He may feel doubt, but he advances. He may feel fear, but he refuses to bow to it. Through this, weakness loses its authority. The mind learns that feeling is not command, and the spirit becomes leader over the body. Ruthless self-honesty also demands that you let go of false identities. Many men attach themselves to labels, roles, and appearances to create an image of strength rather than pursuing actual strength. They wish to look powerful instead of becoming powerful. But the warrior values substance over image. He cares nothing for recognition without merit. He does not chase admiration, he chases improvement. If the world sees him or ignores him, it does not change his path. His victory is internal, not public. Every day there is a moment when the weaker version of you attempts to reclaim control. It whispers rest when effort is needed. It says tomorrow when action is required now. It tells you this is enough when you know growth lies beyond the next step. The warrior hears this voice, but he does not obey it. He recognizes it as the echo of his old self, the self that seeks safety instead of strength. And with discipline, he chooses the harder path, the path that sharpens, the path that elevates. This journey is endless. There will always be deeper levels of honesty to uncover, more weakness to confront, more strength to build. But that is the purpose of the path. Life is not meant to be a slow decay into comfort and complacency. It is meant to be a continuous forging of the spirit through struggle, awareness, and disciplined effort. The warrior understands that the greatest victory is not over another man, but over the limitations within himself. And when a man finally learns to face his own weakness without fear, without excuses, and without hesitation, he discovers that nothing outside of him can truly defeat him.